It's very fine. I'm going to step off the limb. It's one small step for man, one giant leap for mankind. Oh, that looks beautiful from radio. It has a stark beauty all its own. It's like much of the high desert of the United States. It's different, but it's very pretty out here.
Affirmative. We have it. What is it? We have some explanation for that. We have none. Don't worry. Continue your program. Oh boy, it's really something that was fantastic here. You couldn't ever imagine this. Roger, we know about that. Could you go the other way? Go back the other way. Well, this guy Rich, pretty spectacular. God, what is that there? That's what the hell is that?
No, tango. Tango.
It's kind of light there now.
Roger, we got it. We marked it. Loose communication. Bravo Tango. Bravo Tango. Select Jezebel. Jezebel.
Yeah, but this is unbelievable. We're going off Bravo Tango, Bravo Tango.
Copy that. 797, carry on higher rate. Left clear. 7, go ahead. Confirm you at 10 o'clock high. This is Houston. Say again, 7. Confirm you at 10 o'clock high. On drive, but appears to be tumbling. It just seems to be tagging along with us. We got somebody out the front window with a pair of binoculars and a zoom lens. We're trying to get a pretty good idea on this thing.
Can we copy that? We do see that.
Okay. That's looking out in front of the orbiter.
Okay, we're seeing 3 or 4 objects. Can you confirm that it's just the one that's actually moving? The other ones are just reflections?
No, there are 3 objects. The one you see 2 rings right there. They're the ones we kind of had the Lake Tally-Ho on. The one down the bottom, that was the one we initially saw.
We have an unidentified flying object.
Just pass off the nose again. Right now it's at about 12:30 and it's passing out in front of the vehicle.
We're Tally-Ho. Can you get a still imagery if you can, and any estimate on size or range?
Looks like you got an object right in front of you, Mark. Can you look out there? That's what you're talking about. Never mind. Are we missing something? I don't see anything.
An object which is at the same place all the time but appears to be tumbling. Well, we've had it ever since yesterday. It just seems to be tagging along with us.
Flight flow is still up here. There we go. Let's see. We've had visitors again. Yeah. Probably worth mentioning. Agree.
Do you believe in life on other planets?
Oh yes, there's not much question at all. But there's life throughout the universe. We're not alone in the universe at all.
You're convinced that we're not alone in the universe?
Oh, I know for sure we're not alone in the universe. And I happen to be privileged enough to have been on the fact that we have been visited on this planet. And the UFO phenomenon is real, although it's been covered up by our governments for quite a long time. It is a real phenomenon. And there's quite a few of us. It's been well covered up by all of our governments for the last 60 years or so. But slowly it leaks out, and some of us are privileged to have been briefed on some of it. But I've also been in military circles and intelligence circles that knows beneath the surface of what has been public knowledge that, yes, we have been visited. I have been deeply involved in certain committees and certain research programs with very credible scientists and very intelligent people that do know the real inside story, and I am not hesitant to talk about it. There's quite a bit of contact going on. We have been visited. The Roswell crash was real, and a number of other contacts have been real and ongoing. It's pretty well known for that in the last 60 years or so that there has been some back engineering and the creation of this type of likely alien craft. Now, not all of them are. I suspect some of them are homegrown. I suspect that in the last 60 years or so that there has been some back engineering and the creation of this type of equipment, but it's not nearly as sophisticated yet as what the apparent visitors have.
They're very slow. They're not going away from me more than maybe 3 or 4 miles per hour. They're going at the same speed I am, approximately.
is Mission Control Houston with Atlantis Commander Brent Jett talking with astronaut Terry Virts here in Mission Control about an object the crew members noted outside the windows of the Space Shuttle Atlantis.
Terry, we're in the process of taking pictures with the 400. We've got several other pictures as well, but the best view we got was through the binoculars, and the best way I can describe it is there's some kind of reflective cloth or with a metallic-looking type of cloth, a structure that's definitely not rigid or it's not a solid metal structure.
The tether has broken at the boom. The tether has broken. It's going away from us. Get it on the TV, Corn. TV. The tether has broken. Copy. Getting the image?
Franklin, we see a long line, a couple of star-like things, and a lot of things swimming in the foreground. Can you describe what you're seeing?
Well, the long line is a tether, and there's a little bit of debris that kind of flies with us, and it's illuminated by the sun at such low angle, so there's a lot of stray light, and it's getting washed out quickly, but Claude is trying to do a quick, good job here adjusting the cameras.
Copy that.
Was just something that, something that you'd never seen before. And when I finally got to go out the door, that was something different too. And I figured that would never happen without the preparation we had training the team. And so I'd like...
Wait a second.
would you go to get what you came all this way for? What would you be willing to do? Anything and everything. Big things have small beginnings. How far would you go to get what you came all this way for? What would you be willing to do? Anything and everything. Big things have small beginnings.
Perhaps we need some outside universal threat. I occasionally think how quickly our differences worldwide would vanish if we were facing an alien threat from outside this world. And yet, I ask you, is not an alien force already among us?
Now, another thing I want to reach to you is that during the unbelievable part, I was involved in building another base inside of Dulce, New Mexico, which is Los Alamos Laboratory. It's a biological laboratory. On the southwest part of the Archuleta Mesa, we built an underground facility, a better part of 3 cubic miles hollowed out underground. Then to the southwest of that, we were in the process of the early stages of building. We drilled 4 large tunnel-like holes. Some of them ran 2.5 miles under the surface. Number of the original wells or drilling machines that were used were at the rate of 2 miles a day. It was fairly rapid. The equipment kept coming up broken. So we wanted to go down and we wanted to send somebody down there, a human observer, or human observers in this case, to find out what was going on. Well, to our total surprise, first of all, the government knew all about it. They didn't tell anybody. When I saw Green Beret and Black Beret people encamped inside of our geologist camp, I knew something was up. The gig was up. First of all, I knew all about the alien agenda. I'll explain that in a few minutes. The large alien grays had been encamped there for as best as believed possible about 400 or 500 years. Had been one of their internal bases. And we'd drilled holes right on top of it. All the stinking air, all the black sooty air came right out as soon as the first hole was sunk, and all this soot came up, and well, that's when all the hell broke loose, really. All started. Anyway, after we drilled all 4 holes, it took about 2 days to drill all 4 of them. And when you build an underground base, you drill 4 basic holes, and then you build called stopes or cross-member holes across, and then you use blasting equipment, special blasting equipment by the analyzation of the rock formation, and you literally blast out or tunnel out or deflagrate or melt rock out to build the large rooms that are required for this underground base. Well, in this process, I was lowered down the basket of one of these holes, and about from me to this elderly woman here in the front was sitting a 7-foot-tall alien gray. The stench was worse than the worst garbage can you can imagine. The person was or the entity was absolutely horrible. I didn't waste any time. I reached for my pistol. At that time, as an engineer, I didn't have time to carry all the folderol of one of these big submachine guns that all the sea spray and the yellow fruit and all the outer perimeter and inner perimeter security people carried. I carried a little Walther PPK pistol with a 9-shot clip. This was in late August of 1979. Now, you got a regular suit of clothes, you got a regular clothes on, plus you're in almost like a spacesuit environment, and you're reaching for a gun. It's not the easiest thing to do, and then to pop a clip in it and start shooting. And I killed 2 of them. Yes, they're mortal, and they do die. However, in the process, one of them did this. All I remember is that he just kind of waved his hand in front of his chest, and the next thing I know, this blue beam hit me and just literally opened me up like a fish, and burnt my fingers right off of me. And it was some form of electrical force, because the kind of like being hit by a lightning bolt burned all my toenails off of me. Completely crispy crittered my left foot, burnt the shoe right off of me. All I remember is the smoking remains, and I'm still conscious, but in and out of, I didn't remember much. And there was a Green Beret that was right behind me that risked his life. In fact, he died. But he risked his life. He shoved me back in the basket and hit the button and took me up. And I wouldn't be alive talking to you today if it wasn't for him. I'm forever indebted. He lost his life. 66 Secret Service agents, Green Berets, Black Berets, crack troops lost their lives because the government, our United States government, lied, did not tell us anything about the alien threat. There's a war underneath there, and I'm talking dead serious. It's been going on since that time. Since late August of 1979, our military, the Russian military, basically the militaries of the world, have been in constant conflict with the outer space alien. The small gray, the large gray, the reptilians, the whole thing. There are 11 distinct races of aliens. 2 are benevolent. 1 had to leave here in a hurry because their world is under attack, both on the surface as well as underground. There, the Pleiadians. They're familiar. Maybe some of you are familiar with that. Would some of you raise your hands who've heard of Billy Meyer and some of the, very good, about half the group. Well, Billy Meyer is one of these lucky people that they figured, well, he's kind of a simple type, we'll show him everything. Well, these are the benevolent aliens, and they've been here helping us. In fact, I have a picture, let me reach for it here. I have a picture of one of the aliens been working for the United States Pentagon for the last 58 years. His name is Val Valiant Thor. He's right here. There's my father in the background.
My question is to Clifford Stone. You said that you had seen aliens on a craft that had crashed. I wondered if you could describe what they looked like.
I could, but it would probably take a whole lot of time. The reason I state that, when I got out in 1989, we had cataloged 57 different species. You have individuals that look very much like you and myself that could walk among us and you wouldn't even notice the difference, except for some of the things that they might be able to go ahead, even in a dark room, and touch an object and go ahead and identify what color that object might be. They would have a heightened sense of smell, sight, hearing. The situation is that you have various types of what we normally call grays. We didn't call them grays in the military, but you had at least 3 types of the grays. You had some that were much taller than we were. The unique thing that I'd like to point out for the most part is that the entities that we did catalog were in fact humanoid. Now this created a situation where the scientific community was trying to figure out why that would be the case, because you would expect that if life evolved on other planets that they would take on some type of other being, so to speak, not necessarily look humanoid or be bipedal such as we are. But apparently we got quite a few of the species out there that are humanoid in appearance, and that creates a question that yet has to be answered by science.
Yes, and as I call on you, please state the news agency that you were with. Yes, ma'am.
Deanne Davis with United Press International. Could you please address the vehicle that there was a drawing displayed of? Why would this vehicle be on display at an air show? What is the power source that you are asserting is going to be so very useful? And how can you determine that this vehicle is not something that is being developed, by a government agency?
In fact, I think that was the testimony. This is an alien reproduction vehicle, and just to be clear, this means that it is based on advanced anti-gravity and zero-point energy propulsion systems. Those are the propulsion systems. They are being manufactured by a consortium of companies that include Lockheed Martin, Northrop, SAIC, and other corporations. They do have superluminal capacity, in other words, faster than the speed of light capacity. I think Mr. McCandlish and other witnesses that he's identified could go into more of the technical physics of it. I'm just a country doctor from Virginia, I tell people. I mean, really. And but this is actually what is the reason it's called alien reproduction vehicle, is that it's based on the study of extraterrestrial vehicles, but it is manufactured by human military intelligence, aerospace contracting arrangements. And this is very important. It means that we, Homo sapiens, have the ability to access this so-called zero-point field of energy, which is the ambient field of energy from which all matter and energy is fluxing, and can access that energy and generate all the power we need to run this planet without fossil fuels or pollution.
Do you have any direct evidence, though, that this, we're talking about the same government that so appropriately named a snooper program Carnivore. So just because it's named the alien reproduction vehicle, considering the history and the questions that have been existing for such a long time about flying saucers, do you know, is there any direct reason to believe that this is actually derived from technology? Any of the witnesses who can attest to that? And how would this, a propulsion system, a rocket engine doesn't necessarily translate into electricity. Can you elaborate on that?
Well, the first part of your question, I would say that the testimony of witnesses we have, some of whom are here, others that are not here, but they're in the briefing materials, is that we have studied specifically extraterrestrial vehicles which have been retrieved. The breakthroughs in that research have led to applications that have led to the building of this and similar anti-gravity devices. And that, in fact, this can be proven in open testimony before Congress. Congress, and that is exactly what we are calling for. We have the witnesses to establish this, and they also have the documents and the specific details of the propulsion systems. But this is not a jet internal combustion system at all. It is actually kicked in by a type of electric power source, and it then accesses this ambient zero-point energy field that is responsible for all matter and energy existing, and by special configurations and what have you, it causes a cancellation of mass inertia and an anti-gravity effect. And this is a complex technical discussion which is probably beyond the scope of this conference, but we have materials in the briefing document that we can provide you with references to people who have studied the anti-gravity effect as far back as certainly the 1950s. We have one witness who said that his family was connected to the RAND Corporation, and that by the mid-1950s that more money had been spent on anti-gravity propulsion systems than the totality of the Manhattan Project. So yes, we can establish those elements. Other questions?
Thank you. My name is Murray Felsher. I publish a newsletter downstairs here called the Washington Remote Sensing Letter that deals with reconnaissance and surveillance of the Earth from space. My question is this. Since 1972, with the launch of Landsat 1, and now with the launch of commercial space imagery, there are some archived, I would say, upwards of 35 million photographs of the Earth from space, and not one of them has shown a flying saucer. Are you suggesting that these have been airbrushed out?
We're suggesting that there is a system before the public gets hold of anything that's off of a government-connected satellite. There is a compartmented operation that does indeed sanitize them from this type of evidence, and I think the testimony of the gentleman who was with the Defense Intelligence Agency, Mr. Maynard, Ms. Hare, and others would substantiate that. We have other witnesses who have been involved in projects where such items have been sanitized out. It could also be that if you did a thorough search, you might find a few that slipped through. We obviously haven't had the research dollars to go through all the millions of images that are cataloged to look for them, but we do know there's been a very thorough sanitizing of this. And people should not be naive about the extent to which covert programs using billions of our tax dollars have been able to effectively hide this. This is one of the sort of myths of both the media and the public. It's sort of a Pollyanna myth that we live in a society where such things could not be done. In fact, they are done, and we can prove that they have been done.
If this film indeed corresponds with Vereshchagin's story, what we are looking at is the scene of the crash site in Pereosovsky, as viewed by a camera on top of a military truck. The focal point of this scene is here, and indeed appears to be a disc embedded in the ground. Here we see soldiers exiting the truck, led by a captain. The troops are met by another officer, this one a major, and then they join other soldiers and officers already on the scene. This footage is one of 4 reels of film acquired during our investigation.
Explore it.
This film footage certainly seems to depict interest by Russian military personnel in the object that is seen sticking out of the ground. Soldiers, officers, and civilian-clothed agents are deployed around the site, and they appear to be both guarding and examining the object. This is what we found on one of the 4 reels of film obtained in Russia. After viewing the footage, we were able to determine that it was most likely shot with 2 separate cameras. One apparently a handheld camera, which starts out on the approaching truck, and a second one seen here on a tripod. As the soldiers march past, you can see the cameraman turn to follow the troops. Here we cut to the other angle, the point of view from the tripod camera. And here you see the handheld camera as the truck pulls up. Both cameras change vantage points several times during the film, as if to get better views or perhaps under orders of a superior. From this angle, we see yet more troops arrive. Author Veniamin Vereshchagin described...
Знаете, в дальнейшем события приняли более такой масштабный характер. По просьбе КГБ были привлечены...
On the KGB request, the Soviet army...
And here you see the man who is probably the head KGB agent directing the cameraman to point his camera toward the disc. A total of almost 1,200 feet of negative were recovered just on this crash site. It is possible that more film was shot, but this is all that we were able to obtain. None of this film depicts the removal of the disc itself, and at no point do we see inside the object. From this angle, we do see the handheld camera shooting behind or inside the disc. However, that footage, if it was, in fact, ever shot, was not included in the cans of film we acquired. We can only speculate that it may still be at large. We must also speculate on how the object ended up here, based on information from where did this object come from and how did it come to crash here? And more importantly, what has happened to it since?
Nosotros vimos caer del cielo. Era una cosa grande con metal. Vamos allá para que lo vean.
En 1965, en lo profundo de la selva tropical colombiana, unos exploradores dieron con un intrigante descubrimiento. Hace casi 1000 años atrás, la antigua cultura quimbaya forjó estos hermosos broches con una aleación de cobre y oro, que a primera vista parecen modelos de insectos de alas pequeñas, pero al vérseles más cuidadosamente, revelan algo sumamente inusual, un diseño con anomalías nunca halladas en ningún ser del mundo terrestre.
Es normal verlas en los peces, pero ningún animal terrestre tiene aletas verticales. Los hay con aletas, claro está, pero ninguno en el extremo inferior, como estos modelos. Todas las aves, claro está, tienen alas en el extremo superior, como nosotros los brazos.
Investigando más el diseño del objeto, descubrimos nuevos enigmas. Mientras que todos los insectos tienen sus alas en la parte superior de su cuerpo, los broches las tienen en la parte inferior, un rasgo exclusivo del diseño de los aviones de propulsión a chorro, pero eso no es todo. Además de las alas delta que tienen estos broches, también se nota la clara presencia de colas con timón y, para mayor sorpresa, también la de alerones. Todas estas características se encuentran en aeronaves modernas como el transbordador espacial. Este broche de oro entonces nos deja un misterio fascinante. ¿Es el modelo de algún tipo de aeronave que sí existió? ¿Sabían volar los quimbaya hace más de 1000 años antes de haberse registrado el primer vuelo tripulado? Peter Beltin, un experto en aerodinámica con experiencia en el diseño de aviones caza para el ejército alemán, lleva más de 10 años fascinado con los enigmas del insecto de oro de los quimbaya. Hizo un modelo a escala de 16:1 del objeto con el que planea ver si el impactante broche se asemeja más a un insecto o a un avión supersónico moderno.
Durante la prueba hay que ver si puede volar bien o no, dónde está su centro de gravedad, la forma que debería tener el timón, etc. Pero llevo 40 años haciendo esto y puedo sentir si puede volar o no.
El resultado es sorprendente. Lo que alguna vez fuera considerado una pieza de orfebrería en forma de insecto, vuela más bien como una aeronave del siglo XXI.
Conocemos 20 objetos similares a este, todos con la misma forma, y fue algo sumamente interesante. Pero en verdad no sabemos el propósito que ellos tuvieron.
La pionera investigación de Peter Beltin nos está obligando a reevaluar la historia aceptada de cómo el hombre conquistó el cielo. Pero también podría llegar a probarse que los aparatos voladores tienen un origen aún más antiguo.
Americans feel that way, but what is still true is that there's still kind of a reptilian side of our brain, right? That part of our brain that if somebody looks different or sounds different, that there's a part of us that is cautious, and what we have to do is fight against it.
Bueno, definitivamente hay que explicar primero lo que son los reptilianos. Los reptilianos son una supuesta raza de extraterrestres que se encuentra ya aquí en la Tierra y que están dominando al mundo, se están metiendo en la política, se están metiendo en los medios de comunicación, tal como el video que vemos de una persona. Es un reportero que está, pues ahora sí que dando su información, pero de pronto parece cambiar su rostro completamente por algo que pareciera ser como un reptil.
but I continue to worry a great deal about the message we are sending in the region, about whether we're actually going to stay or not, and whether we're going to do what's necessary to succeed rather than set an arbitrary timeline. And the best way to
We're going to recess now for a few moments.
Okay.
We'll recess till the call of the chair.
¿Cómo quiere que el mundo recuerde a Hugo Chávez?
Dos palabras, dos que son un hombre. Un hombre es lo que soy, eso sí, hombre humano, pues. Hombre humano, porque hay seres humanos que no tienen forma humana, pero no son, yo soy un humano.
To do what it took to stop them from firing the missiles. And I just think we have to have a whole new conversation about where we're at. I think it's going to be a much longer, more difficult process.
Are you familiar with the theory that we are reptilian? So, but I mean, what's going on with this reptilian thing? Where's this theory really coming from? I mean,
it's coming from the demonic presences, and the fact that when they manifest in a reptilian, sometimes kind of shape.
So the demons manifest themselves in reptilian types of shapes.
Yeah.
The weapon business is the big business. You make the cash. I was a rich man when I was in that kind of business. Now I'm a poor man. Well, the difference is now I'm an honest man. Before I was a crook. That is something that people are waiting for. Everybody's waiting for 2012. Why they're waiting for 2012? Why? Because they are hoping that this will lead to somehow a cosmic consciousness and the unveiling of certain energy. And that's true. Why? Because you are a corrupt nation, subservient to a Vatican, subservient to the Zionists, subservient to a new world order that, in my opinion, is completely corrupt. These elections, we support the Democrats, so Republicans are not on the list of support of the Illuminati. They can't make it. McCain can climb walls, can do whatever he wants, he's not going to become anything. And you go and study the history of the Vatican, you will find that from Papa Onofre to many other popes in the Vatican, they have been practicing magicians, parts of Freemasonry, Grand Masters from various traditions, sometimes officially not recognizing each other, but still meeting there. Why? Because the Comedy of Monte Carlo is a weapon dealer's place. Because it's all about weapons. A conspiracy, if we want, to create Adolf Hitler and make sure that this being did what he did so they could then claim the Israel state. Everything in plan, so for the end of times the Jews have their land. If you knew in reality what these entities were, you will not even touch them, you would just drove the other way. A Jesuit contacted an Italian journalist in the UFO scene and spread a certain amount of disinformation, including the fact that the CIV was still the greatest intelligence in the Vatican. With what? With 100 people, a couple of Benedictine monks, a couple of nuns, and the Vatican includes millions of members worldwide. They all function as intelligence from the beginning of time. One time they accused the American Indians, oh, these are pagans, what are they doing to us? We have to do science, observe the stars. All rubbish. If it is to create a fraternal bond of death, like the order of death in the Skull and Bones, then a human sacrifice is required. What is magic? The magic is the calculation of the arts with peculiar calculations around the symbols to evoke certain entities and have from them, if you want, certain gratifications. The Vatican Library, and we have a lot of ancient artifacts, ancient books, very rare text, that could revolutionize the thought of mankind. But as I said, because we will have to go to the next stage of existence, in one way or another, the Vatican wants to adapt. So how they adapt? They adapted with Corrado Balducci and the whole alien revolution coming into the Vatican, Secretum Omega and a couple of UFOs, and everybody's happy. Because it's a tendency in humankind to have the worship for these entities that can give you terrestrial power. We were talking about Anunnaki, we were talking about Nephilim, but there is these entities come from other dimensions, other places in this universe. They can cross over into this dimension if we evoke them, if we call them.
Bohemian Grove is
Bohemian Grove is a different kind of initiation. There they like to dress up in even more fancy clothes, usually Republicans, a lot of whores, a lot of prostitution goes on during the nights of Bohemian Grove.
A fake sacrifice ceremony or a real sacrifice?
That most of the people in the mind control sectors of the intelligence units, the people who are taking control of the PSYOPs operations, they are occultists. Because occultism and black magic is the most ancient form of military tool known to mankind. At the end, there will be a war, and there will be dead people on the ground. Because the moment they want to microchip me, I'm going to take out a gun and shoot at them.
This is Aaron Russo, a filmmaker and former politician. To his left is Nicholas Rockefeller of the infamous Rockefeller banking and business dynasty. After maintaining a close friendship with Nicholas Rockefeller, Aaron eventually ended the relationship, appalled by what he had learned about the Rockefellers and their ambitions.
I got a call one day from an attorney woman I knew, And she said, would you like to meet one of the Rockefellers? I said, sure, I'd love to. And we became friends, and he began to divulge a lot of things to me. So he said to me one night, he said that there's going to be an event there, and out of that event, you're going to see, we're going to go into Afghanistan, so we can run pipelines from the Caspian Sea. We're going to go into Iraq to take the oil and establish a base in the Middle East, and we're going to go into Venezuela and try and get rid of Chavez. And the first two they've accomplished. Chavez they didn't accomplish. And he said you're going to see guys going into caves looking for looking for people that they're never going to find. You know, he was laughing about the fact that you have this war on terror. There's no real enemy. He's talking about how by having this war on terror, you can never win it because it's an eternal war. And so you can always keep taking people's liberties away. And I said, how are you going to convince people that this war is real? He says, but the media. The media can convince everybody it's real. I mean, you know, it's just that you keep talking about things. You keep saying it over and over and over again, and eventually people believe it. You know, you created the Federal Reserve in 1913 through lies. You create 9/11, which is another lie. Through 9/11, then you're fighting a war on terror, and now all of a sudden you go into Iraq, which was another lie, and now they're going to do Iran. You know, and it's all one thing leading to another, leading to another, leading to another. Now, I would say, what are you doing this for? What's the point of this thing? You have all the money in the world you ever want. You have all the power. I said, you know, you're hurting people. It's not a good thing. And he would say, what do you care about the people for? Take care of yourself and you take care of your family. And then I said to him, what are the ultimate goals here? He said, the ultimate goal is to get everybody in this world chipped with the RFID chip and have all money be on those chips and everything on those chips. And if anybody wants to protest what we do or violate what we want, we just turn off that chip.
That's right, microchipped.
Y justo en la prevención del delito, la tecnología avanza a pasos agigantados. Hoy en día nuestra seguridad podría estar en manos de un dispositivo que apenas mide unos milímetros. Un diminuto chip podría salvarnos la vida. Todo comenzó con un avance de la ciencia, el microchip subcutáneo. En 2003, este pequeñito chip del tamaño de un grano de arroz surge, en principio para aportar información médica. Un año más tarde se convierte en una revolucionaria forma de transportar datos seguros y únicos, como si adentro de la piel trajera insertado un código de barras. Eso es como una pequeña antena.
Esto viene siendo una antena, un emisor.
No es como, es una antena.
Es una antena, un emisor y lo que viene siendo enlazado directamente a otros dispositivos.
Es otro aparato que no vamos a revelar cómo es.
Exactamente.
¿Qué debemos extraerlo siempre junto a nosotros?
Siempre debe de estar junto, siempre, todo el tiempo. O sea, pues, obviamente está implantado, no hay ninguna forma de traer dos dispositivos separados, pero el otro es nos va a dar la oportunidad, inclusive, de dar un aviso cuando se está teniendo alguna emergencia.
Tal fue la revolución de este chip que en nuestro país funcionarios de alto nivel se lo implantaron para tener acceso a base de datos y centros de información restringida, como el propio ex procurador general de la República. Tras la noticia de que en Canadá un científico lograra clonar el microchip, surge el escándalo, la polémica y las preguntas. ¿Ese chip podía falsificarse? Entonces, ¿también alguien podría acceder al CISEN y robar información? ¿Qué probabilidades hay de que se clone un chip?
Prácticamente nulas. Sí, son códigos completamente irrepetibles e inalterables.
La idea de portar información crece y es más, este pequeño aparato puede permitir la localización de personas vía satélite. En un lugar del país, en un punto no identificable, Usted puede tener acceso a un sistema de seguridad en tan solo este microchip. Pueden poner toda la información de usted encriptada, no revelada, para que lo puedan localizar. Basta una llamada de alerta. Hoy, la implantación de este chip resurge. Prometen su clonación y funcionamiento con costo de hasta $4.000. Es una cuota anual de $2.000.
El chip no se renueva, el chip se queda encapsulado dentro de lo que viene siendo el cuerpo, dentro del tejido adiposo de la persona.
¿Cómo funciona?
Este dispositivo funciona, vamos a ejemplificarlo. Tenemos una situación de riesgo en la cual presionando por medio de un dispositivo externo se manda una señal de alerta a un centro de monitoreo, en los cuales en 3 segundos llega esa señal de alerta, inmediatamente se abren canales de audio, sabemos qué es lo que está sucediendo dentro de esa emergencia, así como también tenemos lo que viene siendo la localización puntual de esa persona a detalle de calle, en el cual tenemos velocidad y dirección en la cual se está moviendo ese usuario.
Avance digital. Chip implantado. Olvidar las contraseñas del ordenador es algo muy corriente, pero puede que la solución esté literalmente a mano con implantes de chips de ordenador. Ahora, algunos fans de la tecnología en Estados Unidos se están poniendo chips de identificación por radiofrecuencia bajo la piel para poder usarlos para facilitar tareas cotidianas. El EM402 RFID Tag Q5 implantado en la mano de Mikey Sklar es tan pequeño como una ampolla de cristal que cuesta unos $2. Un médico realizó la operación en la cocina de Sklar. El chip seguirá activo durante unos 100 años.
Junio 2001, William Cooper advertía que algo gordo se venía, que a Bin Laden culparían, pero el líder no sería responsable del ataque de bandera falsa armada que muy pronto ocurriría. Billy pudo percatarse que ni el FBI lo hallaba y de repente CNN publicaba con su cara una entrevista muy osada realizada en su escondite para amenazar al norte en un recado cero creíble, pero no lo contó la TV. 11 de septiembre, 2 aviones comerciales eludieron los radares, arrasando 3.000 almas. La seguridad más grande del planeta fue burlada por un grupo de rebeldes con navajas talibanes. Nunca había ocurrido antes que colapse un edificio y se derrita en caída libre, cual si hubiese un precipicio. Claramente cada torre fue un derrumbe controlado. Se llama nanotermita el componente utilizado, pero no lo contó la TV. Como negro de ventilaban porque oxígeno faltaba y eso revelaba que al ardor ya poco le quedaba. Nunca pudo comprobarse la teoría del colapso. Cada dato del informe resultó manipulado. 7 horas transcurridas de la torre ya caída, si un tercero se desploma. El World Trade Center 7, el motivo del derrumbe no hay manera que lo prueben. Sin lugar a dudas otra detonación asistida, pero no lo contó la TV. Los testigos que escaparon padecieron explosiones en los pisos inferiores, alejados del impacto. Unas angulares puntas en las vigas que quedaron acusaron un meticuloso método de corte, que es exactamente el modo en que el derrumbe se organiza para conseguir la convergencia que se hace ceniza, porque no hay forma en que tanto acero en bloque se derrita. Sin embargo, hierro líquido cayendo se veía, pero no lo contó la TV. No se hallaron casi cuerpos por la fuerza del colapso, pero un pasaporte intacto en las ruinas se encontraron. Por supuesto era de un terrorista ya identificado, un seguro responsable y coautor del atentado. A 3 días y sin pruebas 19 son culpados, todos ellos musulmanes radicales conocidos del grupete de suicidas. 6 aún estaban vivos, nunca fueron retirados del legajo de imputado, pero no lo contó la TV. Un buen 757 que no pudo ser filmado hizo un hueco en el Pentágono de 5 metros magros. Tan preciso fue el impacto que bordea en el milagro. 38 metros de metal fueron gasificados. Solo un caza logra un giro de 270 grados y aún así es una proeza. Yendo 800 por hora, el lugar más impermeable de la historia fue violado, penetrado por un aviador novato, flor de mago, pero no lo contó la TV. Hubo un cuarto avión raptado del que dicen fue estrellado por los mismos tripulantes que se habían amotinado, pero hay quienes escucharon los misiles y el impacto que regaron 8 millas del avión en 1000 pedazos, siendo el peor ataque terrorista nunca visto. Se ignoraron todas las medidas que usualmente aplican para colmo el protocolo de defensa. Lentifican meses antes para hacer aún más turbio el acertijo, pero no lo contó la TV. Cada jefe negligente militar que estaba al mando consiguió ser promovido a un cargo superior al rango. La familia de Bin Laden exiliada de un plumazo y unos amas mal doblados adjudicándose el trabajo. Al caer es un invento de la CIA que entrenaba guerrilleros del país y con terreno petrolero. Varios adiestrados en la tierra norteamericana que ahora lo declara ser el grupo que no mete el miedo, pero no lo contó la TV. Steve Cheney, con la estratega de Estados Unidos, reveló que Osama Bin Laden ya estaba fallecido por un serio problema renal, que incluso ya durante la administración de Clinton lo tenía agonizante. Todo el terrorismo que la prensa publicita fue gestado en la gobernación de Carter y de Bush, y también lo utilizado Obama con el mismo fin, limitar la libertad de los derechos a invadir, pero no lo contó la TV. Es tan obvio que debajo de la ruina que dejaron hay más mierda que la que jamás hemos imaginado. No sabemos quién gobierna este mundo en el que estamos, ni por qué clase de seres hemos sido dominados. Somos un rebaño de ignorantes muy bien orientados a pagar por cada cosa del planeta que habitamos. Tristemente lo aceptamos sin siquiera cuestionarlo, porque estamos del comienzo totalmente programados, pero no
So, before we move off this privacy thing, and I thought that was a fascinating answer.
It's okay. You want to take off the hoodie?
You know, I never take off the hoodie.
I know you don't. What's with that? There's a group of women in the audience that wish you would. And...
no.
Girls?
Whoa.
All right.
Sorry. Yeah, that's okay.
Can you explain what this instant personalization thing was that you did, and why you did it, and what's the value of it to your users?
Maybe I should take off the hoodie.
Take off the hoodie.
Go ahead.
You want to? Are you hot? Go ahead. Here. Let me get someone. You all right?
Yeah.
This is a great moment in internet history.
What?
All right.
What are we going to do with the mic?
Put it on your...
All right.
Put it on the collar of your T-shirt. Do you want some?
Do you need some help?
No, I'm good.
All right. Okay. Mark?
Sorry about the...
Sorry about being warm, Mark.
No, it's...
We're not even yelling at you.
Yeah.
Yet.
We're not going to yell at it.
No, we're of course not. That is a warm hoodie.
Yeah, no, it's a thick hoodie. It's a company hoodie. We print our mission on the inside.
What? Oh,
really?
my God, the inside of the hoodie, everybody. Take a moment. What is it? Making the
world more open and connected.
Oh my God, it's like a secret
Cool.
cult. Look at that, making the world open and connected, stream, graph, platform, and this weird symbol in the middle that is probably for the Illuminati.
En concreto, en mi libro El duodécimo planeta, he podido desarrollar específicamente mis estudios sobre los escritos de la civilización sumeria, la primera forma de civilización humana conocida que ya estaba establecida hace 6.000 años. En sus tablillas de arcilla, los sumerios relataron muchos acontecimientos de la historia y de la prehistoria. Muchos de mis colegas conocen estos relatos y los consideran mitos. Yo, en cambio, me he preguntado, y también he dirigido la pregunta a otros investigadores, si en lugar de mitos no serán más bien historias verdaderas. Porque con notable precisión en relación con acontecimientos referidos también en la Biblia, especialmente en el libro del Génesis, estos escritos ponen de manifiesto la existencia de otro gran planeta en nuestro sistema solar, al que los sumerios llamaban Nibiru. Al parecer, este planeta se acerca a nosotros una vez cada 3.600 años, pasando entre Marte y Júpiter. Según los antiguos escritos, los habitantes de este planeta, llamados Anunnaki, que significa los que descendieron del cielo a la Tierra, llegaron por primera vez a nuestro planeta hace unos 450.000 años. Vinieron con una misión precisa, pero esa es otra historia. Y durante su estancia desarrollaron muchas actividades, de las que también existen referencias en las Sagradas Escrituras. Entre ellas, por ejemplo, el proceso de ingeniería genética.
I've talked a lot about channeling, and channeling is one method of contact with these so-called extraterrestrials. It's going on at an alarming rate today. But to fully understand what channeling is, we have to define the three types of channeling. And the first type of channeling is called full-body channeling. And it occurs when the soul of the human individual leaves his or her body, and this unseen entity or supposed extraterrestrial literally takes over and possesses. It incarnates the individual's body, utilizing it as its own. Now, this is very similar to demonic possession. Now, in New Age circles or UFO literature, these entities are often referred to as walk-ins or starseeds. These are important terms to remember, because once you see those terms, you'll know exactly what they are. These are full-body channelers or demonically possessed people. And supposedly there are a lot of them out there right now, and they're involved in organizations. The second type of channeling is called conscious channeling. And it occurs when these unseen entities or supposed extraterrestrials join the human in his or her body. The human is conscious of this joining and provides a vehicle for this entity to work through. Now, in New Age terminology, this is often referred to as twin souls. So if you see the word twin soul, you know these are conscious channelers. And oftentimes, if you read a manuscript or a book by a channeler, he or she will often mention, I have two souls. I'm a twin soul. The third type of channeling is called trance channeling. And it occurs when a human individual enters into a trance-like state. So they're not conscious of this entity coming in and utilizing this person's body and speaking directly through it. Now, this is very similar to what happens when an apparition of the Virgin Mary occurs. The visionary enters into a trance-like state. It's usually only that person or a group of people that can see the Virgin or the supposed apparition. Oftentimes, their bodies contort. Their eyes roll back in their heads. It's a really frightening thing to see these people. Now, when trance channeling is taking place, there's usually another individual there who's transcribing or writing these messages down, because the trance channeler is unconscious to what's going on. And as a result of all these channelings, numerous books are written and published. And in fact, if you walk into a New Age bookstore, 80 to 90% of the material in there is channeled. And I mentioned Ashtar's book at the beginning, The New World Order. That's a channeled manuscript. Okay. So we can see that channeling is strikingly similar to demonic possession, whereby a possessed person succumbs to this unseen entity or demon's power. And in so doing, their entire being or will are taken over by that entity, by that demon. Now, I often wonder how many thousands of people are actually becoming possessed or are possessed by demonic entities today.
Can you describe to us some of the satanic rituals? Are there satanic rituals that take place within the Illuminati?
Well, satanic because they are involved in the evocations and the use of demons.
Okay.
There is a reality out there which is not known to mankind still in the official world of so-called science. The most of the people involved in Freemasonry, they don't really know about this stuff. It's only if you are at the top levels and you get them enrolled in other secret societies that take their members only from the elite of Freemasonry.
The elite?
Yeah, and then they practice their own satanic rituals, like William Grove, for example. That is because the demonic forces serve a purpose to help these people.
The Vatican?
No, not only the Vatican. The demonic forces are used also by the CIA, by your government, and that's what are the aliens. You know, that is conjuring up demons. And
Please say that one more time for the people.
The alien myth is a cover-up for all the demonic demonology practices within the PSYOPs and all the various MK Ultra programs of the CIA and all the mind control activities.
This is really demonic manifestation.
Demonic manifestation.
These aliens are just demons.
That's why, for example, George H. Bush, I think is Mago, one of the demons.
Magog.
Yeah, no?
Yes.
Is it Magog? No?
Magog.
I will show you the name of Magog in the list of demons that are conjured up when
Yes.
you are in the Illuminati.
Yes.
Because each one of these Illuminati takes on a name of a demon so he can get possessed by that demon and work with him in order to establish his materialistic and terrestrial power.
Wow.
I'm hearing the things in my woods again. I don't know if you can hear the noise. I'm recording with night vision right now. I've been hearing the sounds in the back of my woods quite a bit. What the heck is that? Oh my god!
Aleister Crowley, the man who called himself the Beast 666, black magician, drug fiend, sex addict, and traitor to the British people.
He had so many Masonic degrees that you could fill up 5 pages of a book with them. This guy was probably the most highly honored Mason in the world. He styled himself the wickedest man in the world. He believed himself to be the great beast, and he changed his name to Aleister Crowley, so it would add up in both English, Hebrew, and Greek Kabbalah as 666. In 1904, Crowley had a communication with an extraterrestrial being named Iwas. And this being, through his wife, kind of a channeling type operation, brought forth a book that was called the Book of the Law. The next thing that happened was that Crowley had a contact with another extraterrestrial that identified itself as Lam. That was the little guy's name. He was short, and he let Crowley draw a picture of him. And oddly enough, this is very much what the picture looked like. It's interesting that, 40 years before we knew such aliens existed, that Aleister Crowley was having conversations with them and drawing pictures of them. Dr. Jacques Vallée has addressed the United Nations on UFOs, and was a model in Steven Spielberg's Close Encounters of the Third Kind. He is the author of 8 books of unidentified flying objects, and has been widely recognized as the premier investigating scientist in the realm of this research. In his book, Messengers of Deception, he says, an impressive comparison can be made between UFO occupants and the popular conception of demons. And in his book, Confrontations, he writes, the medical examinations to which abductees are said to be subjected, often accompanied by sadistic sexual manipulation, is reminiscent of the medieval tales of encounters with demons. He also made this statement, I believe when we speak of UFO sightings, as instances of space visitations, we are looking at the phenomenon on the wrong level. We are not dealing with successive waves of visitation from space, we are dealing with a control system. And he states, UFOs are the means through which man's concepts are being rearranged. They are engaging in a worldwide enterprise of subliminal seduction.
Jacques Vallée, at least at that time when he wrote that book, was an agnostic. Interesting that he comes to basically the same conclusions I do as a Christian from my research. And he said about UFOs, they're real, but they're not physical. They're messengers of deception. And this was based on his research of about 20 years. They seem to be psychologically preparing, setting us up for some ultimate delusion that is too horrible even to imagine as yet. I would agree with that. In Close Encounters of the Third Kind, that first film that came out about UFOs, the house that the mother and little boy were living in, the toys began running around and screws unscrewing in the presence of UFOs. What the film was saying was the same people that run UFOs run haunted houses. And I would say that's absolutely true.
Just months ago, dozens of East Texans reported extraordinary encounters in Erath County, seeing lights in the sky and flying objects near Stephenville in Dublin, Texas.
Now, we are not here to say those things happened or didn't happen, but for many, there is still a lot that is unexplained about all this.
We hear this snapping of branches and crash, boom. All of a sudden we hear,
well, are you open to it or not?
I'm open to it. I think it's an awfully large universe out there, and if there's 6 billion stars in the Milky Way galaxy...
Oh yeah, it happens to me everywhere. Our house really has all kinds of paranormal activity. You'll see flashes of light. Sometimes furniture will move on its own. The water turns on by itself. You can watch the handle go on. There'll be, like the shower sometimes goes on. All kinds of crazy stuff.
I've taken paranormal investigation groups to his home who have done it for many, many years, some of them up to 30 years. They bring their equipment, electromagnetic field readers, certainly a great number of video cameras, tape recorders, the Geiger counters and other equipment, dozens of pieces of equipment. And in every instance, the things we're able to capture, document, is phenomenal. We can have conversations with whatever they are. We're not sure. You can ask a question of them. You can't hear it, but you can play it back on your tape recorder and you can hear their voice. They will levitate or throw things around the room while you're there. While I'm there, on more than one occasion, the water faucet just turns on by itself and turns off by itself. This has happened in front of many people.
So they came and installed surveillance cameras throughout the house, and the stuff we captured are amazing. These balls, fist-sized balls of red light. You know, some of the debunkers and some of the skeptics will say, oh, it's a laser pointer, except for the fact that it's three-dimensional, and you can see that it's three-dimensional and it has a tail usually.
En el exterior de su casa también se presentan extraños fenómenos, incomprensibles para Stan y sus amigos.
One of the days we went outside, everything was fine. 5 minutes later, heard another noise, and all the lawn furniture was missing. We couldn't find it anywhere. And we looked and looked, and finally somebody looked on the roof, and we had all our lawn chairs on the roof.
Chairs on roofs, you know, that would, you know, the chairs that you'd walk outside, the chairs would all be out in the garden, or, you know, outside on the lawn. And the next thing you know, they're up on the roof.
También extrañas sombras al exterior y al interior de su casa, en las escaleras, en el sillón y frente a su gato. Incluso esta imagen del control remoto de Stan Romanek, que parece estar flotando en el aire, salvo por esta sombra que parece sostenerlo.
Like a week later, all lined up nice and neat on the kitchen countertop.
It wasn't until a few years ago that I really started to get into researching all this information, looking at, going through thousands of pages of information about UFOs that just confirmed, what I had already believed about this phenomenon. That I believe the evidence clearly points that they are, in fact, demons.
Why do they keep the aliens in a Faraday-shielded environment? Because they have a tendency to disappear right through walls. And if you can prevent the transmission of electromagnetic energy, you can stop them from doing it.
That explain some of the visual glances of these things. They seem to just simply disappear. They're gone.
Exactly. I mean, they're appearing out of nowhere and then disappearing right in front of people. And that's why scientists who have no axes to grind, they just say that it doesn't make that much sense. And also, if they're just trying to observe us, to take account of what we're doing on Earth, I mean, after a while, after so many months or years or centuries, it kind of gets old. They either would take us over, or they've already discovered all the information they need to know about Earthlings, and so they're just going to take us over or make first contact and just sort of do what they need to do next. To endlessly observe us, it doesn't make any sense.
They appear to have the ability to materialize and dematerialize without a trace. One of the great mysteries of the UFOs isn't seeing them, is trying to figure out where are they when you don't see them. Some people say, well, they're from another galaxy. Most physicists will debunk that for lots of reasons. They seem to pose that way, but for lots of, if they came, if there are that many coming from another galaxy, you think you'd sense the traffic. We'll come to that with some more reasonable explanations, and you're going to discover the two top researchers in the last century, really, is Jacques Vallée, France, and J. Allen Hynek, the American. Now, J. Allen Hynek was head of astronomy at Cornell, and he set out to debunk this nonsense about UFOs, and he became one of the most ardent, competent, balanced researchers in the trade. J. Allen Hynek, he died a few years ago. Both of these respected researchers came to the conclusion that they're not intergalactic for lots of physics. There are a lot of physics rebuttals to that conjecture. They both argued that these things are demonic. Their turn.
They've written many, many books. You can check them out. These are not religious people. They're not people with any kind of personal agenda. But they came to the conclusion that these things, on the one hand, and by the way, we take for granted that we strip away the nonsense and the hoaxes, strip that aside. There's tens of thousands of files you have to wallow through. When you cut through all that, there's still a core group, a substantial core group of real events that need explanation. And so on the one hand, they exhibit physical properties on the one hand. On the other hand, they also violate all physical laws. And so the conclusion that both J. Allen Hynek and Jacques Vallée and others have come to is that they're hyperdimensional, that somehow they come from another dimension periodically.
The next question. Now we're getting down to the juicy stuff. Aliens must be able to travel vast distances. Well, here's my favourite, the Next Generation Star Trek class. But here we go. They've got to travel at warp speed. Warp is faster than light. Light speed is 300,000 kilometres per second, right? You've got to travel much faster than that to get around the universe. In fact, if Einstein's right, it'd actually be impossible to travel even at light speed. Just think about what I'm going to say for a minute, because it's a bit mind-bending. Because to travel at light speed, you require your mass becomes infinite, and you require an infinite amount of energy. You'd have to have all the available energy in the universe at your disposal to travel at light speed. Sounds freaky, but that's basically the problem. So they come up with ideas of warp space. They create bubbles in the space-time continuum and travel on those. And science fiction to the rescue. See, when they create that, you travel faster than warp, then you've got the trouble of all the occupants getting splattered on the walls and when they accelerate and all this type of stuff. But science fiction to the rescue again, you create inertial dampers. Heard those? Etc. But you know, it's estimated that it's 100,000 dust particles per cubic kilometre of space. And you know that an impact with one of those at light speed, or even, let's say, even 1/10 light speed, would be the equivalent of several tons of TNT going off in a spaceship. So then you've got to have machines and technology to be available to detect specks of dust in front of you, and so the whole thing really becomes impossible.
Ready?
Yep.
Hit it. It's not weight, huh? It's just talent.
That's a pretty good trick, man.
What just happened? Yeah, can we do that again, just to make sure?
Oh man, I don't know what I just witnessed.
Chris, you want to interview him? Okay, one more time.
Listen.
2 minutes and counting. One more time.
I will do different one. Maybe we'll get two breads.
Oh yeah, that's a good one.
This must smell. So first you put water on it. You start. It's not magic, just real. You know, by this time, huh? I believe I can survive.
So these demons would make them then spiritual phenomenon. I would take it, right?
Yeah, I think when you look at it, I mean, there's certain characteristics that everyone will agree has been seen and demonstrated also by these UFOs, such as they penetrate the ground, they penetrate water, they disappear in front of people, they appear right in front of people. One person will see a UFO and the person next to them will not see the UFO. They change colors, sometimes only one accelerating. They change shape, they change size. Many people have made the comment that they seem like they're alive almost. And so these are all characteristics of something that's not a physical or material being or construction. It's got to be something that's a spiritual phenomenon with those kinds of characteristics.
Sitchin is a member of what? The Illuminati?
Absolutely. Zachariah Sitchin is a member of the New World Order used to spread deliberate disinformation. Let's say, I want to just figure out how this happened. When, at the end of the 90s, in the alternative media, certain information starts to spread, especially regarding these Anunnaki beings, call them Nephilim, call them however you want. Zachariah Sitchin met with Corrado Balducci. Who is Corrado Balducci? Corrado Balducci is not only the official spokesman for the UFO in the time. Also, he's the crack. He's a demonologist, the biggest exorcist in the Vatican.
Right.
That should already make you think, okay, there is a connection here between the alien myth and the demonology.
Kinds of characteristics.
Somewhere between 1 and 3% of Americans claim that they have had an abduction experience. That's over 5 million people, or in that neighborhood. Not a few thousand deranged people, not a few, disaffected. This is, we'll talk a little more about this. This is a very, very disturbing phenomenon in the counseling profession. Now, part of the problem of the UFOs is they have some paradoxical behavior. On the one hand, they're seen by multiple competent witnesses. They are plotted on radar, sometimes multiple radars simultaneously. They leave tangible traces on the ground, sometimes radiation, evidence of burning and other things. So they are apparently real in the sense of being physical, on the one hand. There are photographs. Sometimes they show up on photographs, sometimes they don't. But here's the problem. While they seem to be tangible on the one hand, they exhibit behavior that can't possibly be physical. They can go in excess of 6,000 miles per hour without sonic booms. What on earth does that mean? I'd like to know how they do that trick. They've been plotted making right-angle turns at over 16,000 miles an hour. That defies the laws of physics. That's now perhaps the most disturbing thing of all, they appear to have the ability to materialize and dematerialize without a trace.
The medium said, we have a very special surprise tonight for you people. A spirit will manifest itself openly here in a few minutes, and it's like a big gust of wind hit the building and right through the wall, and that translucent being seemed to come right out of the wall.
How did you feel right at that moment?
It's almost like my heart stopped a little bit. You know, very weird feeling. It was a lady in a beautiful evening gown, swirling. And she said to Mary, "My dear sister, you are so wonderful to have asked for me." And Mary fainted and fell right off her chair on the floor. And a couple of guys jumped up and picked her up, and spirit gone. And that was the beginning of it.
That's how you got into it.
Yeah, that's the way we got into it. After a while, you see, there's something interesting about the human mind. You can adjust an awful lot of stuff. You can adjust to a lot of things that would terrify you to begin with. After a while, they become common and ordinary.
So you mean contact with the supernatural can become commonplace and ordinary and doesn't bother anybody?
Yeah.
In other words, the more that you do it, you're not uncomfortable.
That's
it's
right.
Just not.
People believe that the dead have entered into a higher state of existence than they had when they were alive. Also that they are in a position and have the capacity to help the living here on earth. So who are they talking to? He says, the friendly demon spirits that have always found over the centuries great delight in impersonating apparitions, departed loved ones, and persons of great renown. He said the supposed spirits of the dead that you're talking with are demon spirits. They're fallen angels. They're beautiful beings.
Just set it out, just like that.
Oh, yeah.
It didn't make you uneasy when he said they were...
Well, it shocked you a little bit, something that you first hear mentioned to you.
The people on board the ship usually are described as looking like the alien that I just showed you. They're very short, 3 to 4 feet tall, big heads, huge eyes, no genitals, vestigial mouth and nose and ears. In other words, not very much of those in evidence. And they stink. They smell like sulfur. Interesting smell.
The Amityville Horror was based on a factual account of what happened to a family in Amityville, New York. An irritating and nauseating odor seemed to accompany the presence of the ghost or spirit entity that entered there from time to time.
Es que te estoy enfocando a las boobies. Ah, no mames.
¿Qué?
Pasó algo.
¿Qué pasó? No mames.
A ver, ven. No mames, pasó algo, te lo juro que pasó algo, La verga. No mames.
Este es un video captado en Estados Unidos, en un bosque, justo en un sitio en donde una niña fue asesinada, fue estrangulada, y mientras unas personas se encontraban ahí observando con su lámpara hacia la oscuridad, de pronto aparece esta niña. Pero ponga mucha atención en lo que va a aparecer y observen muy bien el cuello de esta niña. Ahí está. Está completamente dislocado el cuello. Pareciera que no pertenece el cuello incluso a ese cuerpo. Esto sorprende mucho a las personas que están grabando y de pronto se va encima de ellos. Ante la desesperación, gritan y huyen. Esto es realmente impactante.
Okay, now is our guard duty time. Look at this slacker over here. What is he doing? 4-hour shift. Now it's 12:32 down here. And look at what we are doing. Nothing down here, man. What? Full moon. Let's take a look. Damn, it's a full moon, man.
Making out like that here.
That's why it's so romantic down here. Hey, what? What the fuck is that? What the fuck is that? What the fuck is that?
Hey, come closer.
Closer. Down. Hey, what's that sound, man?
Hey, got room, man.
Better report it. Where the fuck is the guy, man? Where the fuck?
Got room to, someone to got room.
Hey, you still get it. Let it. What the fuck? Is that? Fucking shit is that?
¿Qué es eso? ¡Ay!
Right down here, if it went across that way, or who. I'm just gonna put the camera down right here on this pole. Dude, what the fuck is that? Dude, look through the night vision. Look on the screen. See, what is that? Hello? Hey, who is that? This tripping me out, dude. You know what? Fuck this shit, dude. Come on. Let's go.
Volamos la casa en el auto.
Asombrada, Cecilia revisó una y otra vez el video. Detrás de dos de los menores que estaban revisando el subterráneo, apareció fugazmente la imagen de una pequeña que nadie había visto en ese momento.
Se nota que hay unos pasos, ¿entiendes? Se ve primero la mano apareciendo ahí, se ve que da unos pasos, se ve como que lleva como un zapato, un chaleco en el brazo.
María pasa por acá.
Ante las versiones de que había un fantasma en el parque, los vecinos decidieron armar una especie de operativo y grabar durante toda la noche.
Lo que encontraron es impresionante. Los videos y las fotos de celular registran lo que parece ser el espectro de una niña.
Sentí que me pegaron en la espalda y cuando volteé a mirar, sentí los pasos que corrieron para los arbustos.
Su sexto sentido afloró hasta ese día que descubrió la enigmática presencia de la niña.
Se siente el espíritu como de una persona infantil.
La curiosidad motivó a los jóvenes del barrio a emprender una verdadera cacería de brujas, o más bien de fantasmas. El sitio de la aparición, el parque del barrio Villa Canela. Sus armas, cámaras fotográficas y de video. La hora, entre 12 de la noche y 1 de la mañana. El resultado fue este. Una imagen clara de una niña de aproximadamente 12 años. Su rostro y su cuerpo están bien definidos en el cuadro. En video, la imagen que captó la cámara fue esta, y el sonido que la acompaña es este.
Cuando de pronto vi que una imagen blanca corría. No sé, no podría decir qué es exactamente porque no la vi de cerca.
Ventured back outside to take more photos.
I took a series of 3 pictures of an upstairs window.
But suddenly, he feels that he is no longer alone.
I felt this presence come over me, and the smell was like sulfur and roses. Real strong smell.
When Terry develops the film from his still camera, he's shocked by what he sees. 3 consecutive pictures of what appears to be a woman glowing in a pink light, floating in the second-story window.
Dr. Pierre Guérin, an eminent scientist associated with the French National Council for Scientific Research, concludes that UFO behavior is more akin to magic than to physics as we know it, and that modern UFOnauts and the demons of past days are probably identical. The word demon in Greek comes from the root meaning knowledge or intelligence, implying that demons have access to knowledge and information denied to ordinary mortals.
After what happened to me, the communion experiences, I decided that that might be a good idea to accept the idea of the devil just in case that's what I saw. If you look closely at the life of the world, you see the workings of evil in the world. There seems to be a sort of machinery behind it that is far beyond just the accident of human life.
You can literally hypnotize a person, tell them that there's a cat in their lap, they will see it, they will hear it, purr, they will pet it and feel it. It's not physically there. You tell the cat to scratch them, and bring them out of it, there are scratch marks on their cheek. A non-physical object under the right conditions can leave physical evidence. I think it's demonic. It's a spiritual power of some kind for which there is no physical explanation. You can't explain it with the laws of chemistry and physics as we know it.
In summary, demons do exist and they are attempting to destroy what God has established. They have been doing this throughout the history of man, and are the explanation for the evil in this world. Adolf Hitler and the Nazi Party are evidence of their presence. Demons are as different as people. There are some who actually desire to help us, desperate for human interaction. Some demons are terrified of other fierce demons. Their greatest deception is to make you think they don't exist. You must remember they have a higher knowledge than man. Today, there are a host of demons disguising themselves as alien grays from another planet. This is directly related to the UFO phenomenon and alien abductions. They are in the process of their last scheme to deceive the world, causing man to dismiss God as a myth, denying the return of Christ.
That was his power. The greatest trick the devil ever pulled was convincing the world he didn't exist.
Do not be deceived. These aliens are leading people astray. Christ is returning for those who know him. And if you know him, you will recognize his return. This world will eventually be destroyed, not by our doing, but by the will of God. According to Revelations, we will reign with Christ for 1,000 years before the end of this world. Take comfort in his promise.
El 16 de noviembre de 1974, el radiotelescopio de Arecibo en Puerto Rico fue inaugurado con la transmisión de un mensaje dirigido al cúmulo M13 de la constelación de Hércules. Se esperaba que este mensaje fuera interceptado por los visitantes y que eventualmente supieran interpretarlo e inclusive responderlo. Sin embargo, en agosto del año 2001, la respuesta parece haber sido recibida, aunque de una manera diferente a la que esperaban Carl Sagan y Frank Drake, autores del mensaje enviado desde el radiotelescopio más grande del mundo.
El mensaje, diseñado por Drake y Sagan, presentaba información propia del ser humano. Se diseñó el mensaje en código binario, en 73 líneas por 23 columnas. Se incluyó información sobre nuestro sistema numérico. En segunda instancia se incluyó información sobre las bases químicas de la vida. Más adelante se estableció la química de nuestro ADN. También se presentó el diseño de la estructura de nuestro ADN. El tamaño del genoma humano. Se presentó información sobre nuestra forma y tamaño. El número de habitantes. nuestra posición en el sistema solar. Finalmente, la información sobre la antena de Arecibo. La respuesta recibida en los campos de trigo podría ser el primer intento de comunicación directo de otras inteligencias del universo. Al analizar la respuesta encontramos algunas sorpresas. Los átomos básicos de la vida parecen ser los mismos. El hidrógeno, nitrógeno, oxígeno, fósforo y carbono también parecen ser los componentes básicos de la vida en los organismos de estos seres. Sin embargo, al analizar la figura, encontramos que se le agregó el silicio, y para ser exactos, el silicio de número atómico 14. Aún no es claro por qué estos seres añadieron el silicio a sus cuerpos. Hemos encontrado que a través del interferón es posible ligar al carbono con el silicio, pero aún no sabemos que el silicio puede absorber energía que pudiera ser negativa, energía magnética, radioactividad, radiación solar o calor. La segunda estaría relacionada a la posibilidad de que estos seres habiten en otras dimensiones donde la biología estaría basada en un sistema de carbono y silicio, una visión donde los universos más elevados podrían observar a los universos de mayor densidad. La estructura del ADN presenta una variación muy importante. La que aparece del lado izquierdo y que representa la herencia materna no tiene cambio. Sin embargo, la que aparece del lado derecho no solamente es diferente, sino que es complementaria. La implicación es que estos seres son híbridos entre seres humanos y algo más. Este cambio no es natural, tuvo que haber sido inducido artificialmente. El tamaño del genoma en la respuesta también es diferente. El genoma humano es de 4.293.917.614 secuencias de nucleótidos. El genoma de los visitantes, de acuerdo a su representación en la respuesta de Chilbolton, sería de 4.294.966.190 secuencias de nucleótidos, es decir, que estos seres tendrían 1.048.576 secuencias de nucleótidos más que los seres humanos de la Tierra, lo cual implica una mayor evolución de estos seres y quizá más tiempo en su desarrollo. No es posible añadir secuencias de nucleótidos al genoma de manera artificial. La forma del cuerpo del ser humano comparado con el de estos visitantes presenta grandes cambios. Mientras que estos seres son pequeños y de gran cabeza, el ser humano es grande con una cabeza en comparación relativamente pequeña. La población humana, de acuerdo a los números en 1974, era de 4.292.853.750 seres vivos en la Tierra, mientras que la de estos seres fue decodificada en alrededor de 5.000 millones de seres. Otro aspecto interesante es el de los planetas. En el mensaje de Drake se sitúa la figura del ser humano sobre el tercer planeta del sistema solar, mientras que la figura del extraterrestre se sitúa sobre 3 planetas y algunas lunas del quinto planeta. Finalmente se describen las características de los instrumentos con los cuales fueron enviados el mensaje y la respuesta. El tamaño de la antena de Arecibo, 306 metros, con una onda de 12.6 centímetros y 1 trillón de watts, mientras que la antena de los visitantes es de 85 metros, 18 centímetros, y la onda también de 12.6 centímetros en 2388 megahertz.
Es como un mensaje de datos binarios que parece haber sido formulado exactamente en el mismo modo como el que Frank Drake utilizó en el diseño en su mensaje. Entiendo que el mensaje fue enviado desde Arecibo y fue hace más de 20 años. Y básicamente, a mí me gustaría saber de los científicos de SETI que enviaron el mensaje original. Si ellos enviaron el mensaje en la forma que lo hicieron y estaban esperando una respuesta, y nadie habla retóricamente que no sea recibida una respuesta, ¿qué respuesta estaban esperando ellos recibir? Sí, esta podría ser la respuesta.
Una respuesta detallada que podría ofrecer algunas claves de genética o de hibridación para los seres humanos. Aún está por entenderse cabalmente el significado de la llamada respuesta. Seguramente que algún día el ser humano valorará la información que acabamos de recibir. Sin duda alguna, un mensaje de buena voluntad.
17 de agosto del año 2001, nuevamente al lado del radiotelescopio Shilbolton, aparecen un juego de dos figuras. Inicialmente un rostro gigantesco tridimensional. A nivel del suelo no hay nada que nos haga pensar que ahí hay un rostro. Simplemente son montoncitos de trigo amontonados. Pero ese rostro no nos es desconocido. Es el mismo rostro de Sidonia en Marte. Aquel rostro que fue descubierto en una montaña sobre la superficie de Marte.
Nuevamente en agosto, pero del año 2000, se presentó una formación cerca del radiotelescopio de Shilbolton. Sin embargo, en esta ocasión la figura no parecía tener una forma definida, que pudiera ser asociada o relacionada a algún tipo de comunicación. Pasaría más de un año hasta que pudiese ser comprendida, hasta que se presentó la llamada respuesta de las estrellas. Hasta entonces se darían cuenta los investigadores que se trataba del artefacto antena con el cual se había transmitido la respuesta. Aparece en el mismo lugar donde el mensaje enviado desde Arecibo se había representado el instrumento que nosotros usamos para mandar la señal. Es posible que la figura presente tecnología más allá de nuestro conocimiento.
I don't know what to make of it. The picture itself is astounding, but again, the aspect of the picture is slightly sinister. It doesn't have a smile to it. So one says to oneself, if by any chance there is a technology which we don't understand, which is maybe 15 years ahead of what we understand, is there a slightly sinister aspect to this, that this is being put into the field in order to scare people?
The technique that's been used to create this I've never seen before, and I've visited over 300 crop circles in the last 10 years.
El rostro de un alienígena sosteniendo un disco plasmado sobre los campos de cultivo en Inglaterra se ha convertido en un verdadero misterio que cientos de investigadores en todo el mundo se encuentran analizando en estos momentos, especialmente el mensaje en código binario que aparece en el círculo.
So it's extremely difficult to do.
I'm sure it raises a lot of fascinating questions we finally should start asking everyone, especially officials, scientists, so we get together and find some answers, as nobody can explain this so far.
Must be something like the 500th crop circle I've been to in the last 10 years. You know, this one and the Chilbolton one are the most, you just can't see what the design is, whereas with the normal crop circles where it's a Celtic cross or it's an Egyptian symbol or it's you know, you can just tell what it is on the ground, but not here.
La figura del alienígena en Winchester presenta un disco en código binario en la mano, el mismo código que utilizan las computadoras. Este código ha sido ya descifrado por diversos especialistas en todo el mundo, y este, aparentemente, es el mensaje. Cuidado con los portadores de los falsos presentes y sus promesas rotas. Mucho dolor, pero aún hay tiempo. Crean que aún el bien está ahí afuera, y finalmente apunta. Nosotros nos oponemos a los engaños.
هذه السحابة سبحان الله لا إله إلا الله. حصلتها في المزارع في بدع فارس، يعني ما بيني وبينها إلا 5 أمتار. الحين ترد على السيارة. هذه قدر إلهية سبحان الله. نزلت الأرض الحين، فأنا مستعجب صراحة. ممكن حد يصدق أو ما حد يصدق إنها سحابة. الحين طاحت في الأرض ونشبت في الشبك.
poquito de agua.
لا والله انا سحابه زي اللي تمرغ باللزه قبل ولا كلب ولا شيء. سمي بسم الله. في القبره قاعد تقول لي مبروك. سمي بسم الله. بسم الله العفو. بسم الله العفو. هذا شنو هذا الصفر؟ ابعد يا عطيه والله مرة شنو يموت فينا تو الديناميك. كهرباء هذا. ها؟ كهرباء. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الصفر. سلام قول من رب الرحيم.
30% de su velocidad. Vean el objeto.
Он до сюда не достанет, Оля. Таня, мало ли что может быть не снят. Поехали.
The liquefaction of the island. Have you ever heard of that before? No. Had you ever heard of that, Stu? I had to look it up. Had you ever heard of liquefaction of land?
My God, look at that thing. It's huge. That is a big tornado.
seem to know where it's coming from.
La historia oficial es la historia del oculto, pero al final todo se sabe, sea común o extraordinario, como el experimento Filadelfia. En 1943 quedaría demostrada la teoría de Einstein sobre los campos unificados. El USS Eldridge se hacía invisible. En plena guerra mundial, el gobierno de Estados Unidos quiso ocultar sus barcos de los radares enemigos y fue así como nació el proyecto Arcoíris. Empleando campos electromagnéticos, intentaron curvar la luz alrededor de un barco de guerra para hacerlo invisible. Uno de los testigos, Carlos Miguel Allende, cuenta que presenció todos los preparativos en los astilleros navales de Filadelfia y que vio con detalle cómo manipulaban potentes generadores de energía y equipos eléctricos, así como una nube de color verde que fue surgiendo lentamente alrededor del USS Eldridge. El experimento marchaba según lo planeado, cuando de repente una luz cegadora lo desvaneció. En cuestión de minutos, apareció a 600 kilómetros del lugar para aparecer de nuevo en el sitio de origen. Encontraron el barco como si lo hubieran armado de nuevo, pero con defectos, a la tripulación totalmente desorientada y con graves enfermedades. Algunos estaban muertos, otros desaparecidos. Morris Jessup, investigador del evento, fue recopilando información y entrevistando a algunos involucrados. Cuando tenía suficientes datos, fue convocado por el gobierno. Al poco tiempo, apareció muerto de manera misteriosa. Lo verdaderamente increíble es que aún haya gente que crea en versiones oficiales, pero como ya se ha dicho muchas veces, la realidad siempre supera la ficción.
Brian, ve a chequear el hoyo negro, a ver qué hay.
Vamos a ver las fotografías de ese colapso del 2007 que nos envió la Coordinadora Nacional para la Reducción de Desastres en Guatemala. Así fue como quedó el lugar. Recordemos que se llevó 3 viviendas, que murieron 3 personas y que hubo que desalojar a unas 100 personas que habitaban las viviendas a la redonda.
It's recording. Oh, you suck. Oh. Yo, I hit 10 home runs with Ryan Howard. I gotta press the button again. All right.
Estrella, se lógica, sí. Mira, que vamos a bufetar aí. E depois você quer mais assim?
Tô gravado o vídeo.
Fala o tempo errado, né? Né? Vai ficar tempo, papai. Na esquina não pode ver amanhã.
То же самое произошло и с андской тигровой гончей, двуносой гончей. В боливийских Андах ее разводят сотни лет, а мир узнал о ней только сейчас. И собакой, у которой должно быть сверхобоняние, всерьез заинтересовались военные.
So, sir, it's right here. It's right here. Oh, what the hell is that, dude? It looks like it just died. Like it Jesus, man. Oh, dude. It's heavy. It's like a stamp on it. Inspected, approved. I can't read this. Category 3. I don't know what the rest says.
Non, non, c'est pas vrai, j'y suis déjà allée.
Faites quoi?
Mais viens. Là, ça sonne ou pas? T'es sûr? Oh putain!
6点30分，新疆喀纳斯景区工作人员王红桥等人在喀纳斯湖边观鱼台山顶拍摄云海奇观时拍到的画面。王红桥的同伴说，这次看到的是3只疑似水怪的身影，而到了7点17分，水面上又出现了3只游动的疑似水怪，在前进了数百米后，逐渐接近前方的3只。到8点39分，白色亮点开始掉头向东返回，整个过程一共出现了3个白色亮点。神秘水怪到底是什么？
Bora logo. Ei, pô, não, peraí, pô. Senta aí que eu vou editar esse momento aqui. Vou editar esse momento.
Isso aí. Ei, pô, mas a gente tem que ir, pô. Não existe não, porque é doido, é? Já é 6 horas da
Não,
tarde.
peraí, falei umas confusão aqui, doido. Bora. Não esquenta não. Bicho Vi uma parada ali passando atrás, bicho. Vocês viram? Não, deixa quieto, vou continuar, acho que é frescura mesmo. Não, peraí, não, esquenta não. Pois é, continua aí. Caralho, bicho, tu viu, Leandro?
Eu vi.
Bicho, cara, la seca, para mí.
Tras el hallazgo de un extraño animal marino no reconocido el pasado fin de semana a orillas de San Carlos, fue identificado después de ser trasladado por autoridades a la congeladora del Parque Industrial Pesquero Guaymense. Técnicos del Centro de Investigación en Alimentos y Desarrollo confirman que la especie de 4 metros de largo es integrante de la familia de los pez remo o pez sable de nombre científico Regalecus glesne. Según los especialistas, afirman que el animal encontrado es uno de los peces óseos más grandes del mundo, los cuales llegan a medir hasta 11 metros de largo. Habitan grandes profundidades del mar y solo llegan a la superficie cuando están heridos o muertos. Afortunadamente para los pescadores y bañistas, el enorme pez carece de dientes y su alimentación se basa en pequeños crustáceos.
Появление в городе вот такого существа. И хотя агрессии оно не проявляло, люди все равно вызвали на помощь полицию. Стражи порядка вместе с добровольцами пытаются отловить зверя, но он оказывается хитрее и проворней. Классифицировать зверя никто так и не смог.
A DeWitt County deputy in training reacts to seeing what just may be a chupacabra.
I've been patrolling these back roads for a long time, and I've never run across anything like this until that day.
Last Friday, hours before sunset, Corporal Brandon Riedel and his partner were checking fence lines near Cuero when they stumbled across the alleged creature of the night.
We came around a corner and saw this running down the road.
Riedel says it's hairless with a long snout, short front legs, and long back legs.
It's just strange.
Noticing the unique photo op, he turned on his squad car's dash cam.
So I hit the record button and it was just, this is what we got.
What they got has the deputies and even Sheriff Jody Vasky baffled.
It's amazing. We still don't know what it is.
Some believe the thing that eventually disappeared into the brush could be the legendary goat sucker himself, the chupacabra. Riedel says it's about the size of a coyote, but when he froze the video and saw its profile,
I knew it wasn't a coyote.
Después de los ataques que hemos sufrido a partir del 5 de enero 2012, he decidido emitir una alerta mundial. Esta alerta mundial es titulada Nos están fumigando. La pregunta que yo te hago a ti en este momento es que si no has visto el cielo últimamente, has mirado hacia arriba y te has dado cuenta de lo que está pasando. Yo pido nada más que te des cuenta y abras tantito los ojos y escuches este mensaje. Nos están envenenando por diseño. La mayoría, claro que no lo cree. El 80% siguen embobados con sus televisiones. Pero lo que yo te digo en este momento es la verdad. Y aquí están las evidencias. Científicos en ciencias de la Tierra actualmente están proponiendo manejar la radiación del Sol y el cambio climático con aerosoles estratosféricos. La dispersión o rocío de sulfatos, aluminio y otras nanopartículas en nuestra atmósfera. Y a pesar de tales propuestas, aviones o jets han estado rociando el cielo por más de una década en muchos de los países del mundo, incluyendo Norteamérica, Suramérica, África y Europa. Y aún así, los gobiernos niegan que esto esté sucediendo. Los gobiernos de los países están encubriendo un crimen. La población se está enfermando y las Fuerzas Armadas no están haciendo su trabajo. Las Fuerzas Armadas no están haciendo nada para protegernos a nosotros, la población civil. Estamos hablando del rocío intencional de estos químicos y partículas biológicas infecciosas, y esto es un crimen en contra de los pueblos del mundo. Es por ello que lanzo esta advertencia. El rocío de estos aerosoles forma nubes artificiales. Estas nubes se llaman chemtrails. Se extienden para formar un escudo en el cielo, y el escudo celeste reduce la luz del sol y ha dado como resultado algo gravísimo. Estos resultados nos han llevado a tener una reducción de la luz a nivel global. Estamos recibiendo menos luz de la que deberíamos estar recibiendo. Y de acuerdo a la NASA, el mundo ya ha visto una pérdida del 20% de la luz solar. La pregunta es entonces, ¿por qué se están muriendo las plantas y los árboles en tu zona? Están bloqueando la luz del sol de forma peligrosa, y esta disminución de la luz solar ha provocado en el planeta un aumento en los hongos y los virus, una carencia de vitamina D y problemas humanos asociados. La vitamina D que nos da naturalmente el sol y la absorbemos por medio de la piel, cuando es reducida la luz del sol, pues obviamente nuestra cantidad diaria de vitamina D que necesitamos para que nuestro sistema inmune esté fuerte y resista patógenos y virus como la influenza y sus variantes, cuando es reducida, pues obviamente nuestro sistema inmune queda comprometido. También se ha afectado en la Tierra la reducción de la generación de energía en los paneles solares. Ha habido también una reducción rápida de la vida de las plantas y los árboles, y esto a su vez ha creado un aumento en la lluvia ácida, contaminación del aire, el suelo y el subsuelo, pozos y mantos acuíferos. Algo gravísimo que ha sucedido con estas prácticas es de que la fotosíntesis se ha reducido también. Esto crea una producción menor de cosechas y un descenso cada vez mayor en la salud de los árboles. Recordemos que los árboles nos dan el oxígeno que requerimos para respirar, también las algas en el mar, pero también si nosotros estamos permitiendo que se esté bloqueando la luz del sol por medio de estas campañas de rocío sistemático de chemtrails, y somos nosotros quienes producimos el CO2, así como los volcanes, que también producen mucho CO2 en el planeta, ese CO2 es el alimento natural para los árboles para que ellos transformen el monóxido de carbono, el dióxido, de carbono, y a su vez este dióxido de carbono lo transformen en oxígeno. Pero si la luz del sol es bloqueada, la fotosíntesis es afectada. También se han ya registrado que ha habido efectos negativos en la biodiversidad y afectado a los océanos. Ejemplo de ello es la fertilización de hierro en los océanos y otros experimentos que se han hecho. También ha habido una muerte repentina de aves o pájaros y también de peces en diferentes partes del mundo. Tenemos el caso reciente en Noruega entrando el año 2012, el año pasado en Arkansas, miles y miles de aves muertas. Pero no nada más ahí, también en Guanajuato, México, murieron aves. Han muerto aves en Italia, han muerto aves en todas partes del mundo. Y creemos que no nada más es por la cuestión electromagnética del sol, la cuestión electromagnética, el campo electromagnético terrestre que también ha afectado a las aves y los pájaros, sino que también se pueda deber a estos chemtrails. Estamos hablando de una guerra silenciosa de niveles peligrosos donde se ha utilizado el aluminio y el bario, y esto se está hallando en las muestras del suelo y del agua en los Estados Unidos. Estos elementos, el bario y el aluminio, son metales pesados, son altamente tóxicos para el ser humano y para los animales. El bario y el aluminio tienen una característica peculiar en el cuerpo humano: son inmunosupresores y bajan las defensas naturales de nuestro cuerpo. Lo peor de todo es que los chemtrails contienen dentro de sí enfermedades o sustancias biológicas infecciosas en forma de células disecadas. Estas células en forma de esporas muy finas bajan al nivel del suelo, y cuando la población las inhala entran al sistema respiratorio, enfermándonos cuando los respiramos. Esto se llama guerra silenciosa. La guerra silenciosa va matando a las personas de forma lenta, sin que la población sepa qué es lo que la está atacando. Estas guerras silenciosas se han estado llevando a cabo de forma contundente durante las décadas a través de las vacunas, a través de la dispersión de enfermedades. Algunas epidemias y pandemias o precursores de una pandemia han sido liberados sobre las poblaciones. Se ha experimentado con nuevas formas de armas biológicas. También a través de la alimentación, los venenos que han puesto en los alimentos. Pero en este caso, los chemtrails, a diferencia de los rastros de condensación de vapor de agua que dejan los aviones comerciales arriba en el cielo, y esto es cuando se va dispersando esa condensación de agua o ese rastro blanco que dejan detrás de los aviones. La diferencia aquí es que tenemos en los chemtrails una combinación de sustancias que son rociadas a diferentes alturas por aviones de forma ilegal.
Hello, Earth. I'm Alec Baldwin, TV star. You know, they say TV will rot your brain. That's absurd. TV only softens the brain, like a ripe banana, to take it all the way. We've created Hulu. Hulu beams TV directly to your portable computing devices, giving you more of the cerebral gelatinizing shows you want, anytime, anywhere, for free.
Only
act out because I want your love. Mushy mush. And the best part is there's nothing you can do to stop it. I mean, what are you going to do, turn off your TV and your computer? Once your brains are reduced to a cottage cheese-like mush, we'll scoop them out with a melon bowler and gobble them right on up. Oops. I think I'm drooling a little. Because we're aliens. And that's how we roll. Hulu, an evil plot to destroy the world. Enjoy.
Mr. Armstrong, Bart Sibrel, ABC Digital. Wanted to give you the opportunity to swear on the Bible that you walked on the moon. Will you put your left hand on the Bible and swear to God that you walked on the moon?
Gentlemen. Mr. Sibrel.
Yes? If you really walked on the moon, why would you not do that? So why don't you just put the end to the record in the argument and put your hand on the Bible, swear to God you walked on the moon.
Mr. Sibrel, knowing you, that's probably a fake Bible.
Really? Well, no, it's a real Bible. You have the opportunity to have $5,000.
The meeting is not open.
Well, you have $5,000 cash. You can give it to charity if you swear on the Bible that you walked on the moon.
Please
I have the tape.
It'd be fine.
Why don't you swear to... Why not? Why won't you do it? So why don't you put your hand on the Bible and swear to God that you walked on the moon?
Mr. Sibrel has made a fool of himself in front of the world. Mr. Sibrel, you do not deserve answers.
Una fotografía de un hombre que es llamado el invasor de los sueños. Ponemos nuevamente esta imagen. Esto es en Los Ángeles. Un letrero de Se Busca. ¿Usted lo conoce a este hombre? Ahí es en Los Ángeles, California. Berlín, Alemania. Es sorprendente que la imagen de este hombre haya circulado por el mundo entero. Moscú, Rusia. Allá también se busca. En Argentina, Costa Rica. Lo más impresionante, mire, en la isla de Cuba, lo más impresionante es que este señor, que es el llamado invasor de los sueños, es al menos reconocido por miles y miles de personas que aseguran haber soñado con él o tener la sensación de conocerlo. Le voy a comentar cómo se dio a conocer esta historia. Durante una sesión de psicoterapia en Nueva York, en el año 2006, un paciente dibujó la cara de un individuo que se le aparecía recurrentemente en sus sueños. La mujer sostenía que jamás lo había visto en su vida, pero que era capaz de visualizarlo de una manera muy precisa. Bien, pues el psiquiatra dejó este dibujo sobre su escritorio y cuando otro paciente lo vio, afirmó que también ha visto a este hombre. Finalmente se creó un sitio de internet. Ahí tenemos la recreación hecha por Extranormal. El dibujo, la imagen de este hombre convertido en humano. ¿Usted lo ha visto?
Impactantes imágenes de un helicóptero en Rusia que traslada un objeto no identificado. Un aficionado realizó esta grabación que es analizada por especialistas norteamericanos.
Para algunos esto está trucado o simplemente se trata de una confabulación para hablar de los objetos no identificados, pero obsérvelo usted mismo. Este es el video que por estas horas desvela a los investigadores norteamericanos, quienes coinciden en afirmar que no se detecta un montaje. Sin embargo, la duda continúa. ¿Qué lleva el helicóptero militar colgado de las cuerdas? ¿Se trata de un objeto no identificado? Un aficionado captó la secuencia desde la ventana de su vivienda ubicada en Bodaibo, una población en la región de Irkutsk, en Rusia. Allí algo le llamó la atención y solo atinó a tomar su cámara y registrar el hecho. Encendió la tele, llamó a los informativos y rastreó en la web. Nadie mencionaba lo que acababa de ver. Pero hay más aún. Para sorpresa de él mismo, cuando se detuvo a observar la filmación, descubrió un segundo objeto. La otra nave aparece cerca de la escena, como si custodiara el traslado. Se puede ver entre las nubes del lado derecho de la pantalla. Hasta el momento las autoridades rusas callan, también la milicia. Nadie siquiera lo desmintió. ¿Por qué callan lo sucedido? ¿Cómo y por qué era trasladado un objeto con forma de platillo? Día a día se suman eventos que no tienen explicación lógica, por lo menos no para la ciencia revelada. Lo cierto es que cada vez son más las imágenes que confirman el acervo popular. No estamos solos.
I thank the gentleman. I rise in opposition of this bill, but I would like to clarify something. We're not trying to scare kids. This president's foreign policy is what's scaring the kids of this country. And that people have said today, why are people believing this? Why are people believing this big internet hoax? Well, it's the same people that told us Saddam Hussein had something to do with 9/11. Same people that told us Saddam Hussein had weapons of mass destruction. Same people that told us we were going to be able to use the oil for reconstruction money. Same people that told us that we'd be greeted as liberators, not occupiers. Same people, same president that told us the Taliban is gone. Same president that told us that Poland is our ally 2 days before they pull out. Same president that tells us Iraq is going just great. Same president that tells us the economy is going just great. Same people that told us the tax cut was going to create millions of jobs. Same people that told us that the Medicare program only cost $400 billion when it really cost $540 billion. So please forgive us for not believing what you're saying. Please forgive the students of this country for not believing what you're saying. Not one thing about this war that has been told to the American people or that has been told to these college students has been true. Not one thing. Bremer says we need more troops. The Pentagon says we need more troops. And this president can't get them from the international community. There's only one option left. Let's be honest with the American people. I yield back the balance.
We must make sure that the United States is sound economically, socially, and politically.
Louisiana, Texas, Florida, Georgia, and Arkansas. The state of Arkansas is reporting a record turnout at this point. Nevada and Nebraska are also showing that Democrats are getting a jump on early voting. In Washington, I'm Susan Roberts.